What is house hacking and is it worth it? House hacking is a buzz phrase we've been hearing all over social media and podcasts. It seems to be popular with the younger crowd who don't want to be stuck paying a landlord month after month, but would much rather be a home owner.
Hey Colin, did you forget you can't say landlord anymore?
I'm sorry. Can't say landlord anymore. I just can't keep up with all the terminology anymore.
But we're trying, so you have to give us that.
Yeah, we'll get there. Okay, but the important point is that younger people seem to be getting the idea that they do not want to pay their property provider year after year anymore.
So Colin, I love that the younger crowd is trying to figure out a way to hack their way into real estate and home ownership. But after thinking about the hacking that's going on, I realized some of us more mature people that aren't so young anymore, we've been house hacking ourselves.
True story. But before we move on, let's make sure that our more mature audience actually knows what the term house hacking actually means. So let's define it here. So traditionally, house hacking meant that one would go out and buy like a multi-family property, say like a triplex. They could live in one, and then they would rent out the other two or three, whatever are available. But now people are finding other ways to build equity without having to pay their full mortgage.
So today we're going to talk about several different ways that you can get involved with house hacking and hack your way into home ownership. But we're going to start with the one that's the most popular today and the one that both you and I are doing with our properties. So first we're going to talk about you, Colin. What is it that you're doing over at your house to cover some of your mortgage these days?
So a couple things. One is we bought a house that has a detached kind of barn garage with an apartment attached to it. So we rent that out, and that brings us in probably around between $2,000 and $2,500, between $2,000 and $2,500 per month. That's great. You know, like we hardly even notice that people are there, and just kind of helps cover our mortgage. Our mortgage is about $3,700 per month, so that brings it down to a pretty manageable level. But our main house also has a lot more square footage than we need, and we purchased a place that actually has kind of like these two master bedrooms in it, primary bedrooms, sorry. So, you know, it's me and my wife and our two kids, but we take one of those primary bedrooms and section it off from the rest of the main house, has its own entrance from the back of the house, and we also rent that, and that brings us in. Well, it depends on how often we want to rent it out, really, but on average, probably brings us in another $1,000 per month. So this mostly covers our mortgage. So renting out a room in your house might sound like it's a little bit tricky, and it kind of is. So we use the Airbnb platform for that. We primarily just use it to rent it out on the weekends, but occasionally, if we find the right person, we might rent it out for a month or two or three at a time. Now, how to make this work, there are some details to this, and I can go into them if we want to.
Why don't you save that for another video? Or if you need to know more, just call this guy. So that's awesome, Colin. But how much work is that for you?
Okay, well, like I said, we can go into a lot of detail here, but here's what I'll say is there's a couple different ways that you can do this. One, here's the first way is the way that I do it. So this place has its own private entrance, so it's very separate from the rest of our house. I'm going down to Costa Mesa this weekend, actually, and I'm going to stay with this girl as a 2-bedroom apartment, and my son Sean and I are going to stay in one of her bedrooms. This is a very shared space. There's only one entrance, and we're going to use one of the bedrooms, and there's a shared kitchen. So this is very low maintenance for her, right? When I go down and I stay with her, she just has a bedroom. We're going to walk in the front door. We chose this place because it's an awesome little place. It's down in Costa Mesa, and the owner is a chef. So I know she's going to have a great kitchen, right? She's gone in the evenings most of the time doing her work in her job, so it's like it's going to work perfect for us. This is not the way that I want to run things in my house. I want
you don't want strangers in your kitchen.
You know, like I said, we have 2 kids, my wife, my dog, our 2 dogs, and so we want things to be very separate. So we have a separate entrance, and we've set up the place so that it's fully contained. You know, there's no kitchen in there for people, but they have their own microwave, they have a hot plate, they have their own little mini fridge. So to set up a space like this takes a little bit more work to actually like soundproof the room. So, but aside from all that, it is work. So house hacking doesn't mean like free money to cover your mortgage. You do have to, you know, get a listing up on Airbnb, communicate with people that are going to come and stay. You have to clean. You have to keep the place immaculate. You know, so Airbnb, the way that the whole system runs is off of reviews. So if you don't do a great job in communicating with people and keeping your place nice and clean, then you're not going to do very well. So it is real work to do this. Okay, so I could go on and on about this, give you all the little details and the ins and outs, and maybe I'll do that in another video. But you mentioned that you're also doing some house hacking yourself, so why don't we hear about that?
Yes, so our version of house hacking does not have to do with our primary residence. It has to do with this very property that we're sitting in right now, recording this video, our office property. At our primary residence, we're boring. We just have a regular old mortgage and we live there. But we have been hacking with our office building for quite a while now. And so I'm going to give you a little quick story on building Platinum Properties. And so when we started Platinum Properties in 2009, it was in the thick of the recession. And I was scared out of my mind to pay $1,000 per month for the little building that we rented out. But over time, we started to grow. We added more agents. We moved up to a $2,000 a month space. And then eventually, after we added more and rents were going up, the space that we were in was $5,600 per month. And lease prices were continuing to go up. So we started to search for a property to buy.
So what was your plan to hack this property?
So when we first found this property, I'd never heard of the word or the term house hacking. I don't think I heard of that term until just last year, maybe. We just knew that we needed to get away from that high rent, the rising lease cost, and now we were scared out of our minds to take on that big mortgage that will last for decades. So we went from being nervous about $1,000 to really nervous about locking ourselves into the higher payment, but also wanting to get away from the rising rent. So our goal was to find a property that had some flexibility.
So you have the main building here, the Platinum Properties is in, and then you have the cottage out back that is the short-term rental, and then the little studio. So tell us a little more about that and your mortgage.
Yes, so this property is zoned both commercial and residential, and that's one of the things that we loved about it, because real estate goes up and down as far as our ability to sell real estate. Like right now, the market is great for both buyers and sellers in certain ways, but the low inventory makes it hard for realtors because there aren't as many closings. And so we didn't want to get caught in a situation where it was slower, and then if we were in some kind of a recession and the vacancies were going up with commercial real estate, that we didn't have any ability to use it in a residential way. So the big scary new mortgage that we took on was $4,500, but that does not include the property taxes or insurance. So when you add those back in, it actually came out to about the same as what we had been paying for our commercial lease. And when you add in maintenance for the building, of course, it is a little bit higher. But once we got into the building, we did the commercial conversion on the front building, and then we started in on the remodel of the little cottage. And now that building, as you know, since you run it, I don't have to do all the work of the booking and all that stuff because this guy does ours too. That little 600 square foot space is bringing in close to $4,000 per month. Now we have to pay his fees and we have other costs that are involved. We're paying higher utilities because of having the back units occupied, of course, and we need to keep Wi-Fi for them and some way to stream and watch TV. And we also had the initial cost of buying the furniture. But the other little studio is also rented out for $1,100 a month. So we have a total of about $5,500 a month coming in gross income to help pay for this property now. And the much more exciting thing is that in 2038, since we're shuffling a little bit money towards the mortgage, a little bit extra money towards the mortgage every month, this property will be completely paid off. And then there won't be any mortgage to cover. And if we decide to retire from real estate at some point, I don't know if I will though. I kind of see myself like 90 and still selling real estate, like, okay, let's go. But if we do retire, we could also rent out this main building. And then we would be making far more in income without the mortgage expense than we ever even paid in commercial rent.
That's pretty freaking fantastic, isn't it? So the Airbnb hack seems to be working pretty well for both of us, but let's move on and talk about some other hacks that people are using.
Okay, so one easy one is the roommate hack. Are you a young person that's still in college or just starting a new job? Do you have a college student and you're going to be helping them pay for their housing? Well, why not, instead of paying $1,000 a month for a room, why not buy a 4-bedroom house and collect $1,000 per month from 3 different roommates to use to pay for your mortgage?
Or how about the ADU or the guest house hack? Buy a house, a main house with a guest unit, live in the guest unit, rent out the main house, and cut your mortgage in half or even more.
So this next one has got to be my favorite. I heard about this on another podcast. This is called the Mommune house hack. So you've got two moms that have both gone through a divorce or going through a divorce. They have kids, they need a place to live. So there are moms getting together across the country and creating their own little mom commune where two moms go in on the property together, or maybe one does and the other one's the tenant. And instead of renting a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, you buy a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and then you each have your own half of the house with 2 bedrooms and 1 bath.
Why not? All right, next is the keep, don't sell hack. So when you're ready to move up, when you've been living in your house for quite a while and you want to get something better, or maybe you want to downsize, whatever way you're going, keep your house, save up a down payment for the next house, and then rent out either short-term or long-term the house that you've been living in, and then help offset your mortgage that way.
Yes, so many of our clients just don't even think about keeping the current house. You think you need the money from the current house to go buy the next house, but you might be surprised. You might qualify with a low down payment to buy your next house, and rents are so high around here, you might be able to already generate a positive cash flow on your current property.
I like it.
Another easy hack for you equestrian people. Wouldn't be easy for me at all. But for those of you that already have horses and love the ranch life, the ranch hack is simply boarding other people's horses.
Good one. Okay, now what about the retirement hack? So you know you want to move from the city to San Luis Obispo County in the next 5 years? Well, just buy now and rent it out until you're ready to get here so you don't have to pay the prices that are going to be, they're going to go up in the next 5 years.
Yeah, that one's awesome. And we've had a few clients already implement that house hack, probably without ever even hearing the term house hack. And they already are experiencing an upside. And there are more ways to house hack, so we should definitely do another video on this. But let's keep this one short today, and let's plan to do another video on house hacking soon.
I like it.
And if you love the idea of a house hack, but you don't know exactly where you want to live, just click the link below. We've got a link to our playlist called Wine Country Neighborhoods. Check it out.
And as always, thanks for watching.